He locked himself in his screening room. He had them run all the great movies, Academy Award winning movies. And he emerged and he gathered his writers together and he said, I have found the secret to all great movies. Okay, what is it? And he goes, conflict. Stories are hard, scripts are easy. And that is in no way to denigrate the significance of writing the actual teleplay or screenplay. In fact, once you've got your story, then the hardest thing to do is the screenplay and the teleplay. But it's about story. You got a good story, it's everything.
What makes a good story?
Well, let's start with there should be a beginning, middle, and end.
Why?
No matter how short, no matter how long.
Why?
Because it needs to move you, and if it doesn't move you, then what's the point?
Okay.
And it's action, it's active. You need an active premise in a story. We were talking about West Side Story and Romeo and Juliet. Arguably, the active premise there is true love conquers all, even in death.
Mm-hmm.
That's an active premise. It suggests a beginning, middle, and end to your story, no matter what form or format, whether it's a commercial, whether it's a TV show, a movie, a book. These elements need to be there, and they all stem from your character and whatever journey or conflict that they were sent down. If you got something that keys you into an active premise, and it starts with characters, two-part Simpsons, run amok is your verb, at the Ritz, you know what you got. The best book I ever read that gave me a sense of how to do the active premise and to deliver on a beginning, middle, end was a book called The Art of Dramatic Writing.
Yes.
Lajos Egri wrote a terrific book.
Yes.
Starts with character, of course, all the time. But in it, he discusses the Hegelian theory of the dialectic. It's thesis, antithesis, and synthesis, otherwise known as your beginning, middle, and end.
There we go. Back to the beginning, middle, and end.
And in that thesis, you set up what the character's conflict or journey is. Now, mm-hmm. There are plenty of places online where you can go find the hero's journey.
Right.
And you can get it broken down, not just into beginning, middle, and end, but you can have 8 parts of the journey and the rising conflict and tension, all of the elements that help you fill out that story and give you your scenes. If you start with a premise, a thesis, something that is challenging to your lead character, and then you give them an obstacle, something that's going to make it more difficult to achieve that want, that end. If you don't have a character that wants something, you've got nothing to listen to. I'm ho-humming my way to the next channel. Once you've reached that, then you got to get to that synthesis, that great last scene. Think about all the great last scenes that you've seen that may not have ever been there when you first started out, but somehow over the process of discovering your character, the mm-hmm. journey, and where that took you, you get this incredible last scene. That's your synthesis that brings it all together at the end. That rising conflict is everything, and the best way to learn it is take your favorite TV shows, take your favorite movies, and deconstruct them. And in deconstructing it, one of the things you want to look for is what's a real story beat. Most people don't know what a real story beat looks like. In one of my classes, this woman was writing an Insecure. And I said, go deconstruct the pilot of Insecure. And so she came back in. I said, okay, tell me the first scene. What was the first story beat? Well, she's in front of her computer, not a story beat. And it's her birthday. Okay, it's her birthday, not a story beat though. And behind her is her boyfriend asleep in bed. Okay, still not a story beat. And she's online and she gets a text from her ex-boyfriend who wants to see her. And she went, oh, that's the story beat. I said, correct. Girl on her birthday gets a text from an ex-boyfriend while her current boyfriend is asleep in bed behind her. That's a story beat.
Right.
Everything else is not. It's important. It's going to be used in the play,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not a story beat. Deconstruct episodes, deconstruct movies, really challenge yourself and say, what's the story beat? What's moving the story forward? And the minute you hit something that isn't moving your story forward, it's going to be on the cutting room floor. The first thing is the ho-hum part. Oh, what's the ho-hum part? The ho-hum part is, you better grab my attention or I'm walking out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Why should I listen? And that's your opening. That's your inciting incident. Why should I watch this show? You need a solid opening to draw you in.
Mm-hmm.
The most important part of the process is the what if. What's the story? What's that inciting incident? Or what's that last scene that you just want to go for? All I did was read script after script after script after script. You start to absorb what it is. You begin to hear the rhythms. You begin to see how the story rises and falls and rises again. So when you talk about today, and you just got to write. The truth of the matter is I practice telling my story a lot.
Oh,
Well, I'm
okay.
thinking of doing something like this, and then I tell the story. And the more I work at it, the
So
more
you're
it starts
pitching it
to...
before you've written it.
By the time I sit down to write it, I can usually... It can take me 4 years to come up with something, and I can
Okay.
write it in 4 weeks.
Okay.
I often tell writers, think like directors. It drives me nuts when you write something and they're sitting on the couch and the next thing is he takes a tomato juice out of the refrigerator. Well, how the hell is the director going to get him over to the refrigerator? Think in terms of entrances and exits. Where's the point of attack on the scene? Where are you coming in? Stories are hard. Scripts are easy. And that is in no way to denigrate the significance of writing the actual teleplay or screenplay. In fact, once you've got your story, then the hardest thing to do is the screenplay and the teleplay. But it's about story. You got a good story, it's everything.